Hello, folks. You know where you are. You are back here right on YouTube on the interwebs for another brand new segment of Brockway's Vinyl Bites at long last. Woohoo! Happy New Year, everyone. Yay, it's 2025 now. I'm your host, Cody Brockway, with the lovely Tara O'Reilly.
Hi. Happy New Year.
And to you too, sweetheart. So, we are back. It is 2025. We're going to be digging nose deep into the channel once again. We're going to be back at you with the drum covers. We're going to be back at you with the musical discussion. We're going to be back at you probably with the live streams. We'll probably reignite that at some point. Lots of musical conversation to be had here. I'm looking forward to getting back into it full force with the likers and the commenters and the people who dig what we do here. So, yeah.
You hit a bit of a milestone, haven't you?
We did hit a milestone. We just hit 1,000 subscribers on Brockway's Vinyl Bites. So
Yay.
We owe it all to you guys. I owe it all to you guys. Thank you so much for digging what I do here on the channel. And it's much appreciated, really. Thank you very much. So, yeah. So what we're doing here today, because we just did a video on Spin and Prog, which is Tara's YouTube account. Mm-hmm. Which is I love your channel so much.
Thank you.
If you haven't subscribed to Spin and Prog, what are you doing, man? But we just did a video about our top 10, about our 10 Opeth songs. Not really ranked, of course, just it's a great sort of introductory thing for other people, right? And just gives us a chance to talk about one of our favorite bands ever.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking, like, well, what we're going to do for my channel? Oh, let's talk about albums, prog albums that absolutely melt your face off. You listen to it once and you just go, I'm not the same after that. I just can't. My skin is all melted and wilted off onto the floor because that record was so good. So we got lots of prog rock, classic stuff, and modern stuff, and progressive metal and things to mention today. We're going to start with the lovely Tara O'Reilly. She's going to take us off and tell us about her first pick in albums of prog that will melt your face off.
So,
for real.
First one that came to mind was, of course, Relayer. And yeah, I mean, I like to just kind of do what comes to mind straight away when I do these lists. Otherwise, I'd be thinking about it for days and being like, oh my god, what am I going to pick? And people are going to get mad at me if I don't pick this, that, or the other. So I just have to go with what comes to mind first. This immediately came into my head when he said Face Melters. The Gates of Delirium, straight out the gate. Haha, pun intended. Absolutely mental tune. Massive battle happening in the middle of it, goes down then into Soon, this beautiful ballady tune, John Anderson taking you to heaven, and then bang, Sound Chaser.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're not going to sleep now, wake up, come on, come back to me now, come on. Like, so Alan White and Chris Squire, just that rhythm section at the start of Sound Chaser is just going to punch you awake, and then you get to go back down then into To Be Over. Absolutely gorgeous way to end the album. 4 songs, as proggy as you can get. Is it 3? Well, songs. I always considered Soon as like a separate tune.
That's alright. That's alright.
4 songs. Like I said, as proggy as you can get. Absolutely fantastic album. Face melter all over. Relayer, but yes.
Yeah, Soon does kind of become its own thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they did take a single of it out, so you're not wrong. Like,
I'm never wrong.
That's not a conversation for right here, right now. But you're right. Anyway.
The most subtle wink ever.
I was going to mention this too, because again, we don't discuss this stuff beforehand typically. We both kind of knew that we'd both pick this because of the conversation. She's like, well, I have to pick Yes' Relayer. I was like, oh my god, look what I just wrote down. Because I keep the list on my phone. And so, yeah. But we were both thinking the same thing at the same time. So it was destiny. It had to be on both of our lists. It absolutely is a face-melting album for all the reasons that she just said. The way it goes through these peaks and valleys and up and down. It gets really heavy and aggressive. And then it totally comes back on the other end of the dynamic scale. And it's, you're angsty and like wanting to fight with the battle, and then you're crying with Soon, and it's all in the same block of music. It's brilliant. And then, like you said about side 2 with Sound Chaser and To Be Over, it's that probably their jazziest, most fusiony, and it's also probably it's one of their heaviest albums. If you're into like progressive metal and things like that, this is an absolutely great entryway to come into Yes if you haven't already, because it will melt your face off. That's the point of the topic here today on Brockways Vinyl Bites. Face-melting prog albums.
And speaking of something that's like angsty but makes you cry as well, I've also chosen Up by Peter Gabriel.
Oh yeah, I grieve. Oof.
Just the way it even opens with darkness, like this, like
Wow!
like Jesus Christ Almighty, you're not expecting it at all, and then it goes into Growing Up, and the bass and that is so dirty. It's just fantastic. It starts going down into these more melancholy tunes then, and it comes back up like you have the Barry Williams show. Oh my good God, fantastic tune. Everything on this is brilliant. I reach for this so much, so much. You could have picked any of his albums realistically, like, because he's a genius.
Truth.
But yeah, I had to go with Up because it well and truly does melt my face off.
Oh yeah,
time.
Absolutely. And I've seen him play a couple of songs from that live a few times now. And Darkness is just... It's
mad!
Seeing him play that live.
Like.
It's wild. It's absolutely wild. It is a face-melting album, but the songs are, like you said, the songs are amazing. More than this.
Beautiful, like, my head sounds like that. Oh my God, I related to that so much.
Oh
it's
yeah.
Just fantastic. Beautiful.
I grieve too. What an emotional track.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful track. And beautiful album. Great pick. You're awesome.
Sorry.
Alright, next up for me, I'm going to go more modern here with an album that came out in 2023. One of the biggest progressive metal bands out now. They're from England, and they're called Hacken, or Hacken. I'd say it's Hacken. But I love them. I saw them live, actually, last February. Nearly a freaking year ago. Oh my gosh. Such a great record. All their albums are good. Like, we just listened to The Mountain the other day with the Cockroach King on it, and it's all their stuff is very inspired and fantastic. But Fauna, this one just has its own it's its own era in a sense. I love the album artwork. Let's take it out of the sleeve here. I love the album artwork with the monkey sitting in the suit and all that beautiful artwork on the wall behind him. And if you have the vinyl, I have the vinyl, but the CD here, it is a little gatefold, just like the way the record is. And it's an awesome album. You got songs like Sempiternal Beings. I've been playing that one a lot in the last couple days. Yeah. The Alphabet of Me. Elephants Never Forget. It's a really good record. And it's kind of like Dream Theater and Metallica meet Gentle Giant and King Crimson, maybe? Yeah.
It has all sorts of influences, like, even from different genres to prog. Like, there's so many different elements in the music.
Totally.
And it makes it stand out so much.
Totally agree.
You know, it's something completely different. And yes, they do nod to a lot of 70s prog bands, which is always great. Yes, they're a very unusual band, actually.
Yeah, but we are the we're the ones that benefit from that, because there's no one else that sounds like Hacken.
Yeah.
Really. Ross Jennings, just a great band. And he's one of the best frontmen I've ever seen. What do you got next for us?
So the rest of mine are kind of like classic prog essential albums, in my opinion. So my next pick is Foxtrot. Straight away, Watcher of the Skies comes on and you're just blown away, and the journey just doesn't stop. The whole album ends then with, of course, the most epic of epics, Supper's Ready.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely incredible music on this. It was a bit difficult to pick a Genesis album. I was thinking about Selling England by the Pound, but Supper's Ready, I had to go with this one. Absolute face melter, like.
There's a heaviness to this and the one that came before it.
Yeah.
Like, that's real, yeah.
Like Apocalypse in 9/8, that's mental. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, to have come up with something like that at the age they were as well, like early 20s. What?
Like 22.
Yeah, like, you know, it just makes me feel so inadequate.
How do you think I feel?
But it's incredible, and it will absolutely stand the test of time as one of the biggest masterpieces ever made. Brilliant album. Foxtrot.
Yeah.
Not much else to say, like, it's incredible.
I'm going to piggyback a little bit off that, off of you here, and I'm not picking Foxtrot, although she's right, it is 1000% a face-melting album. But this one also is, in a sense, as well. Nursery Crime, this is the one that they did before it. They still had this same logo on the cover. It opens with the musical box, and that harpsichord at the beginning of that is just brilliant. And then the way it kind of goes from here to here to here to here to here, and it ends off on a really high note with Peter Gabriel coming out when they'd play it live on stage in the grandfather mask, and why don't you touch me now? It's great, and the guitar solo is just, it's like this battle between the guitar and the keys.
Yeah.
And the way Tony kind of makes his keyboard organ kind of sound like a guitar at the same time, and then him and Steve Hackett fighting off each other through that. It's just brilliant. And you listen to the musical box for the first time and your face instantly just gets sucked right off of you.
I'm getting chills just talking about it.
Oh yeah, and the rest of the album does that too. Mind you, there's also some folky bits here with songs like Harlequin and For Absent Friends and things like that. But then you get the other epics as well, like The Return of the Giant Hogweed and the album closer, The Fountain of Salmacis. Very jazzy song.
Yeah.
But it goes through all these, hills and peaks and valleys and these heavy bits, these jazzy bits, and then it ends with both had given everything they had, then your faces melted off. Yeah. First time I've heard you sing. This will be well documented. This will be well documented. But another face melting album from Genesis, a band who has many of them.
Yeah.
You could say that Duke is another one that kind of does that as well. Yeah. But of the classic Gabriel, Hackett, Phil Collins, Tony Banks, Mike Rutherford period, the 5-piece period here, you can say that The Knife is another one too. But this album as a whole really is just a face-melting banger of a record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go over to Canada now.
Oh, I'm already here.
Rush. I was torn. I was like, do I go with 2112? Do I go with A Farewell to Kings? That has Xanadu and everything. I decided to go with Hemispheres because the whole way through, it just doesn't stop. It's so epic. It starts off with Cygnus X1, Book 2. Obviously a continuation from the ending of A Farewell to Kings. Absolutely incredible piece of music.
Agree.
Into side 2, Circumstances, The Trees, and La Villa Strangiato. I can't. It's just so good. Like, you're just like hooked the whole time. And yeah, Face Melter, Hemispheres came straight to mind. And of course, you have naked Mark Hamill on the front of the cover. According to Andy Edwards, looks like Luke Skywalker.
This is a call out, Andy Edwards. This is a call out. I'm gonna
making a show of Mark Hamill.
I'm gonna have to talk about this one a little bit too because I picked it as well. Maybe unbeknownst to you, but I had to pick it as well. She actually pays me to dress down like this and do this exact pose.
Yeah, every day.
Every day. That's right. At least once in the morning.
Yeah.
When a man wakes up in the morning. Anyway, Rush, Hemispheres, coming from a drummer's perspective like myself, it really was a mind-blowing, especially if you like heavy music, which I love heavy music, as you know. I mean, you can probably see the walls around here, right? But metal mixed with prog. Rush were never a metal band necessarily, but they absolutely had an influence on all of the metal bands that we like and know that would have come out after Rush. And this album is a massive influence on so many musicians, myself included. Just the approach to writing and playing and things like that, and just how far out you can go with things and how there is no boundaries with writing.
Yeah.
I mean, the La Villa Strangiato. I actually have a drum cover of that up here on my YouTube channel on Brockway's Vinyl Bites, so if you haven't seen it, go down the videos, search it out. I got a playlist, actually, in the playlist section with all my drum covers, so if you want to see it, it's there, and you definitely should go check it out. But they also taught us how to speak French in Circumstances.
Yeah.
Plus la change, plus c'est la même change, the more that things change.
The more they stay the same.
That's right. So, yeah, fantastic record from my Toronto heroes. Grew up just an hour from where we are right now. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So look at that. We 2 for 2. We both picked the same.
All right.
What else you got for us, sweetie?
My next one is one I don't have a physical copy of right now. The Mahavishnu Orchestra,
We'll just put a
Visions
picture.
of the Emerald Beyond. One that I can distinctly remember the first time I listened to it, and I was sweating buckets when it ended. It really, well and truly was a face-melting experience. My heart was racing. I was going, oh my god, what in the name of God is happening right now? It was fantastic, which is what they tend to do on most of their albums. Absolutely incredible jazz fusion prog band. Their stuff is just mad, absolutely mad, but it's just on another level. It's incredible to listen to. I'm sure a lot of you know that anyway, but if you don't know Mahavishnu, oh my god, you're so lucky you get to listen to them for the first time.
I know. More on Mahavishnu later, because I got a little something coming up from them. But I'm going to talk to you about a progressive metal band that takes a lot of influence from Pink Floyd and King Crimson, while obviously being influenced by Metallica, and they were even Kiss fans at one point, I think, too. So but anyway, it's Tool. And I've known about Tool my whole life, ever since my dad bought Lateralis in 2001. So I loved many songs of theirs, but when this came out, I went full hell for leather, as you would say. hell bent for leather. In 2019, when this released, being a record store owner, Second Chance Records at 20 Argyle Street, North Caledonia, Ontario, Canada. Being a record store owner,
he has a website as well.
I know. I was gonna get to that. www.secondchancerecords.ca. We do ship anywhere within the U.S. and Canada and internationally as well. But yes, so getting into this record, I got it pre-release on the CD, and it came. So I got it before it was released to the general public, and I was driving one night, working my other job, and I put it in the CD player, and my gosh, I became obsessed for about 3.5 years after that. I didn't stop listening to Tool. I just went and dove into everything that I'd never heard before, and the familiar tracks as well, but just dove right into the catalog like, wow.
Yeah.
And got to meet Danny Carey about 2-3 months ago when he was in Toronto with the Beat Project, so that was pretty awesome. I can flash a picture of that up right here. Yeah, pretty cool. But Fear Inoculum was the record that totally changed my life, and I went to see them a couple times on this tour. You got songs like Numa, Tempest, the title track, Calling Voices. Every song is over 10 minutes. This is the big, grandiose 5 LP box set. And there's only 5 big songs on here. There's one song per record, and the other side is an etching. And the album just flies by very fast.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah.
And even though the songs are lengthy, it doesn't matter. It doesn't feel like, that. So, Tool, Fear Inoculum for me, and moving forward with what Tara has to tell you next.
Another essential, Darkside of the Moon.
Yeah.
We all know this one, we all love this one, but it is a face melter every time. No matter how many times you listen to it, it's like goosebumps all over.
Dear Beauty is a face melter to me.
Oh, what a cutie.
But yeah, you're right.
Darkside, one of the most innovative albums ever made. Touch point for everything that came after. And yeah, just one of the most influential things to ever come out. And again, young fellas writing this, that just blows my mind, to be honest.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. What is there to say? We all know this album.
The Great Gig in the Sky.
We all know how fantastic it is. It's one where it's hard to pull songs out of as well. You have to just sit down and listen to the whole thing and go through the experience 100%.
Totally agree. And we both envy people that have not had the experience of listening to this.
Oh my god, yeah. Listening to this for the first time, I would love to experience that again.
We would have both been young kids when we heard this for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. But yeah, face melter.
Absolute face melter. These are all face melters here. Another one for me that's a face melter is something that we just recently talked about over on Mrs. Tara's channel on Spin and Prog, is Opeth. And this is them at probably their jazziest. Mm-hmm. And this is one of their proggiest albums. Of course, they're all proggy, but this very much borrows its influences from bands like Camel and Jethro Tull and Caravan and even Yes and Genesis and stuff. And it's all kind of right here. King Crimson, that early 70s period of King Crimson. It's all right here. This is their 2014 album, Opeth's Pale Communion. It's a fantastic record, and we talked kind of at length about this one over on Spin and Prog, as we both love the song Eternal Rains Will Come, apparently. But the whole record, I listened to this again last night, and I'm just blown away by the whole thing. Moon Above, Sun Below, Elysian Woes, River, Cusp of Eternity. It's just fantastic. And Martin Axelrod on the drums, Fredrik Akesson on guitars, along with Michael Ackerfeld. You can't really go wrong. The band is firing on all cylinders, as they always do. But a fantastic record and a great gateway into the band if you've never listened to Opeth before. Pale Communion.
Okay, and my next pick is Brain Salad Surgery by Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible album about a post-apocalyptic carnival, hence Carnival. Absolutely face-melting all over. All sorts of futuristic elements brought into this. Of course, the H.R. Geiger artwork on the front is iconic.
Oh yeah,
absolutely love it. I'm finding it hard to even put into words how I feel about all these albums because they're all just mind blowing.
They are face melters,
and it's so hard to express how incredible they are. Of course, loads of you are going to know the albums anyway, but anyone that doesn't, you have got to check them out.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, Brain Salad Surgery. Toccata, I always think that's gas, like that they took that piece and did what they did with it. The composer wrote to them and was like, I thought that was very nice, thank you. Because the way they did it is just mental.
Well, this would have sold millions of copies too, so
and rightly so, yeah.
He would get paid bank for that, like.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic album, Brain Salad Surgery by Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
That's back when people bought albums.
Yeah.
Buy your albums, people. Don't be content with the $4.99 a month price tag. Vinyl sounds the best, obviously, but you're following Brockway's Vinyl Bites, so I'm kind of preaching to the choir here. But anyway. Yeah, I'm going to go for an Emerson, Lake and Palmer album, too. I'm going to go back a little bit before that one and go to the very first one. The way that these three guys, Keith Emerson, Greg Lake, and Carl Palmer, really gelled together. This was their first time. Of course, they come out of bands like The Nice, Atomic Rooster, and The Crazy World of Arthur Brown, and King Crimson, respectively. The three of them come together and make this. And this is them finding their feet and, just figuring out how well they work together, just digging into their classical influences, but really heavying it all up. It's kind of like a heavy rock classical album in a sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of solo bits on here that are really awesome, and the song bits are really awesome too. Like you get the classical cover of The Barbarian going into Take a Pebble and Knife Edge and the Three Fates, Tank with the drum solo. They put a drum solo on their first record, like that's unreal. And the massive hit that was Lucky Man. Just a brilliant record. And it's only the 6 cuts, but it's a face melter all in all. Like you're just like, what just happened at the end of that? It's like, where did we just go?
After most of their albums, actually.
Yeah, I'd say you'd like that.
What happened to me?
You like that after all the albums we mentioned here.
My brain has been altered after hearing that. And speaking of, my next pick is Gentle Giants, Freehand.
Yeah.
Just one of those albums that the adrenaline of listening to this is nuts. The actual title track, even, I adore that song about leaving like a bad relationship and your hands are free, you're finally free from it. And it's just a fantastic album. Another band, it was difficult to choose which album to go with because they're just face melting guys, okay?
Yeah, all of their albums are literally
like incredible.
All their albums will literally burn the skin off your chin.
I love going back and watching their live performances. I'm so jealous of anyone that got to see them. His dad is always talking about the way he got to go and see Gentle Giant, and every time I'm like, it's not fair, I would have loved to have gone, but yeah.
I'd say he saw them a few times too.
Oh, he did, yeah, and I'm so jealous. But yeah, Freehand, absolutely fantastic album, classic prog, so good.
Agree. He actually gave me the ticket stub to one of the times he saw them.
Oh, nice.
In 1977. Yeah, he's an old fart. So love you, Dad. So I'm going to mention a band that has already been mentioned here. So I won't probably go too heavy in the paint with this, but Mahavishnu Orchestra and Birds of Fire. This album blows me away all the time. Every time I hear it, you got John McLaughlin Jerry Goodman, Jan Hammer, Bobby Bradford, Rick Laird, and Billy Cobham. Billy Cobham behind the drums, wow, like just wow, what a madman!
He's crazy behind those drums.
Absolutely nuts. And the first week that Tara was in Canada, within the first couple of days, the three of us, me, her, and my dad, were sitting here. I go, "What do you want to listen to?" And she goes, "Mahavishnu Orchestra." I was like, "Done, and let's get married." So we didn't get married yet, but we did listen to the Mahavishnu Orchestra record. And this is absolutely a face-melting album. You can come into prog from the jazz side with this, or you can go into jazz from the prog side. This could even appeal to people who like metal, and the fact that it is very heavy, but it's beautiful at the same time. It's fast and crazy, and it's very dynamic. It goes from one extreme to the other, but they let you know that they're not messing around. Mahavishnu Orchestra, Birds of Fire. Boom.
Okay, and my next pick is Hawkwind, Warrior on the Edge of Time.
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 I pull this album out all the time in videos. It's one of my favourite pieces of art that has ever been created. A lot of people try and say Hawkwind aren't very proggy, but this just proves you wrong. Okay, like it's incredible space rock, psychedelia, prog.
It's hard rocking too.
Science fiction. Lemmy is on it. The album actually starts off with Lemmy do 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 in Assault and Battery, and then the Mellotron comes in, and it's like, wow. It stops. Then there's spoken word from Michael Moorcock, who wrote the book Warrior on the Edge of Time, and he's got this really powerful voice where he's speaking about we are the warriors on the edge of time, and we're tired of making love, and the actual vinyl is incredible. So it opens out into the warrior's shield. As you can see, it says chaos, and then you have the mirrored image on the other side. This is an old enough copy, so it's a bit torn, but it's still awesome.
That's beautiful. What a beautiful piece of art.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah, so Hawkwind, Warrior on the Edge of Time. I could have pulled out another album by Hawkwind. They have a lot of masterpieces.
In Search of
and
Space.
Face melters, yeah. Oh. So I could have pulled out any, but this is just has a special place in my heart.
It does with me now too, especially with the fact that we've listened to it together so much. And I feel you on that. That is a face melting album, absolutely. Okay, so another one. It's from these guys. This is the brand new Volume 1 box set. Just came out. You got Images and Words, you got Awake, you got Falling into Infinity, and you got this one. Yeah. An absolute face melter. They have tons of face melting albums, of course. Like you got Train of Thought. That's definitely a face melter too. Yeah. But this is absolutely up there. It's one of the greatest concept albums of all time.
You're looking at me.
Like, this is absolutely one of the greatest albums of all time, and the way the whole album flows together, and it's one. So you get Metropolis Part 1, the song that's on Images and Words, and then it's kind of tied together with Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory, and the way that they turn the Metropolis thing into a whole concept of this guy who keeps having these crazy dreams of this girl in his past life, and he goes through regression therapy, and he finds out that he was her, and he was brutally murdered when he was a girl named Victoria way back. It's a really elaborate story, and it's really intricate, and the way that they deliver it is just fantastic. Yeah. And then his therapist comes and kills him at the end of the album. Anyway, but if you haven't heard it, go check it out. It's very heavy, but as Dream Theater are, they're extremely dynamic. And the musicianship is on point here, but the songs are very emotional. Like the first time I ever heard Spirit Carries On, which is on this album, I was convinced I had heard the best song ever written. And I probably wasn't wrong. It's pretty fantastic,
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And they're reissuing these albums very soon, so you will be able to get it on vinyl if you didn't already. But this Volume 1 box set's awesome. And Dream Theater, Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory. I could go on about this all day, so I'll spare you. But face melter to the tits. Tit melter, there we go.
Yeah, well, speaking of tit melter, King Crimson.
Yours are still very much there.
Somehow. I don't know how after listening to all this music. But again, I was like, what King Crimson album do I go with for this? It had to be Lark's Tongues and Aspic. Crazy album. There's some nice little somber moments with Exiles and Book of Saturday on it, but the actual Lark's Tongues and Aspic Part 1 and Part 2 is just mental. Like, melts your face off every time. I was hooked on this when I saw a performance they did on the Beat Club, and I saw Jamie Moore being an absolute nut job. I was hooked. I was like, I love this. This is awesome. But yeah, the music.
You're awesome.
The music is crazy. You're awesome. The music is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
It's absolutely nuts. Seeing how young Bill Bruford was playing this, like, is just mind blowing to me. Like, being such a young fella and coming up with something like this. Crazy, crazy stuff. Robert Fripp, of course, sitting in the corner staring at them all while he's playing the music, and the wonderful John Wetton, of course. And then, yeah, Jamie Moore being an absolute nut job. Face melter of an album all over. Absolutely love this. That's my last pick.
All right, well, I got one more, and I agree with you. That album totally blew my mind the first time I heard it, and still blows my mind to this day. Now, I got one last one to pick, and this is probably an obvious choice. If you know me, you know I love Frank Zappa, and the drum work of Chester Thompson on this is just absolutely unreal. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. It is One Size Fits All from Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. Would be the last lineup of the Mothers of Invention before he just called it Frank Zappa, right? Fantastic album. You get Inca Roads with all that absolute insane chaos in there. That wonderful guitar solo from Frank Zappa coming out in that part where they're playing literally figures around the vocal melodies that are based on the vocal melodies, and it's not even in a set time signature at that part.
Yeah.
It's one of the most unreal things I've ever learned. I know how to play the song. Then it comes out into like 7/16 or something like that. It's really, really fast and really fantastic. All the guys in the band, Tom Fowler, R.I.P., Ruth Underwood, Frank Zappa, Chester Thompson. Everyone on this is just playing so good all the way through. You get songs like Can't Afford No Shoes, Florentine Pogan, Andy, Pajama People. It is the definition of a face-melting prog album right here.
Nuts. Crazy.
And all of his albums are like that, but this one, there's a little bit of extra sauce to it. There's just something in it that just totally... Once you get past Inca Roads, you're not the same person after. You're really not. So, yeah, Frank Zappa, that ends it off for me. Thank you guys so much for 1,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely subscribe right here to Brockway's Vinyl Bites. Subscribe to Spin and Prog to see the best content, as well as the Prog Corner, Sea of Tranquility, all of our other guys who we just love so much. Bless you all, and we love you so much. Happy New Year. Here's to 2025.
Yeah.
And if it can be as awesome as my 2024 was, then we're laughing.
Yeah.
Look what happened to me in 2024.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too.
And I love you as well. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay tuned, and don't forget, what's the most important thing?
Rock on.
Rock on!